All right, again, for those of you that are joining me for the first time, my name is Farley, and I'm a stress management consultant. So, having worked for former tech companies and as a woman in technology and combat veteran diagnosed with PTSD last year, I have launched my own stress management company, working with organizations to reduce stress in the workplace and just help provide some vehicles for folks to better manage their work-life balance cycle, etc., etc. But I launched this video blog of sorts live on Twitch, and I have a YouTube channel now for just tips, tricks, conversations. I cook. I love to cook. It's my passion. Definitely my joy. I don't want to open a restaurant or cook for people all the time or anything like that, but I like to share it with people, so I like to cook for people. And I was thinking, I launched it on Monday for Mindful Mondays because, for me, looking at a recipe and focusing on the recipe and turning out all of the other noise is a really great time for me. It's a mindful activity. It allows me to think about things that I might disregard by being busy with everyday life and tasks and stuff. So, now I've brought you into that, and I share what I'm thinking about, what I'm working on for the day. And usually it's a really good time for me to, be creative and just sort of focus on myself and others. So today I am not making anything really fun. So if you are joining for the first time, I follow a pretty strict diet when it comes to low fermenting foods and being low FODMAP and SIBO friendly, because I have a lot of gut issues from traveling, and it's really important for me to consume foods that are easy to digest. So today you're gonna hear me make my smoothie that I make. So I have a green smoothie with a bunch of supplements every single day around 10 o'clock. And then I'm also making some grain-free bread. So it's keto friendly. So it's very low carb, very good for your digestion. And I had to actually prepare a little bit today, which I don't normally do, but the yeast has to proof, which is kind of a weird thing. And yeast really kind of grosses me out since I've started making this bread. And the eggs need to be room temperature. So I did actually get those ready before I got started today. So this morning I have been working on getting prepared for a meeting I'm having with a local manufacturing company. And so, I kind of think about manufacturing in a few different ways. I'm just pulling up the recipe here. And I'm going to obviously have to pull together all of the ingredients. So I figure I'll talk through a little bit about what I've been working on this morning. But, being a woman in technology and a woman in the military, I think I can relate to women in the manufacturing space pretty well, because I'm assuming it's pretty male dominant, just thinking. But I'm hoping to get some more information from the company today on what their statistics actually look like. But it's a really awesome local company, Bagshaw actually, and they just launched a recovery-friendly workplace initiative. And for those of you that don't know, I'm a supporter of recovery, coming from being brought up by a heroin addict and knowing a lot of close people. Several have passed away from overdose, and having drugs impact my life in an indirect way. I'm a huge supporter of recovery and absolutely love the community and the opportunity to give those in recovery second chances, and this company supports that as well. So lots of love for the local Bagshaw folks. But all right, so I obviously can't talk and do this at the same time. So again, I'm making some gluten-free paleo keto bread today. I already had the yeast proofed, and so how you do that is you combine 2 teaspoons of yeast with 2 teaspoons of sugar, so maple syrup. Don't worry, it's still keto friendly. The sugar gets eaten up by the yeast. You throw some lukewarm water in there and it foams up. So it actually smells like baking bread in my house right now. So I'm just going to grab, so this recipe actually calls for almond flour, but I have a sensitivity to almonds, so I will not be using almond flour. I will actually be using, looks like I'm going to have to ground up my own hazelnut flour. So you can make hazelnut flour or any sort of nut flour if you really wanted to, just by throwing some in the blender. So I will do that. Actually, speaking of blender, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I should make my smoothie so I can drink it while we're doing this right now. So time out on the bread. let's make my smoothie. And I always make two because I use a whole avocado in a day. So we all know avocado is good fat, right? I use avocado, so I use one avocado a day. I use a third of it with my breakfast and put actually on this keto bread. And then I use the other half, the other 2/3 of it, which is right here, in my smoothie. So it's really important that I have whole avocados in my house. Otherwise I get really upset because, you know, everybody has a routine. But avocados are wonderful right now. There's so many things you can do with them too. So if you're new to cooking, you can actually make chocolate pudding with avocados. My daughter doesn't even know the difference. So it's like literally like maple syrup. Some people like to put some nut butter in it, avocados and cocoa powder, cacao powder, whichever one you want to use. And it tastes like chocolate pudding. And yeah, you can make fudgicles out of them. We like those in my house, but I haven't made them in a while actually, probably because I'm eating a whole avocado a day. So, you know, everything in moderation. Fat is fat is fat is fat. So while I'm doing this, I'm adding some coconut milk now. I do a half a cup of coconut milk in each. So I'm pretty excited. They've launched, so Bagshaw's launched this the recovery friendly workplace, and they've recently added some additional technologies to be able to support some different customers. So they've added CNC machining. If you don't know who Bagshaw is, though, they are the oldest pin manufacturer in the country. So they've been around since 1870, which is really freaking awesome. And I love on their website, it actually says, if you think a pin is just a pin, then you don't get the point. So I just think that's awesome. Great play on words. So now I'm adding some glycemovite to my smoothies, and this stuff tastes actually really good. I was talking to my nurse practitioner about it, and she said people don't like it, and I'm like, it's like you're telling me to eat candy. I feel like, but I'm not an overly sweet person, so like I can eat like 80% cocoa chocolate and love it. I don't like the really sweet stuff. This is Clearbite CHC. So what these two things are really just nutrients. There's just vitamins. They're really low macro. There's not a lot of stuff in them except for vitamins and minerals. So it's a really great way just to make sure you're getting everything. And so what was happening with me is that I had a really hard time gaining muscle. And even though I was eating protein and doing all of the right things, because my body wasn't processing fats and proteins properly. So now that it is, it's important that I, obviously watch what I eat, but it's also important that, I'm getting the right nutrients. And so it's so let me back up for 1 second. So it's processing my foods properly now because I'm taking these additional vitamins and minerals, and I'm taking an enzyme when I eat and that sort of thing to make sure that my gut can produce them. So they were really, I'm sorry, I got distracted by my watch. So I didn't have any of the right enzymes in my gut because of all of the things that were wrong with me. I almost had a leaky gut, right? So with the traveler's diarrhea and that sort of thing, it gets all of these really negative toxins into your body. And so I'm doing a lot of work to naturally help that. And so eventually I should be able to gain some muscle, which I think is happening. I'm going to say that if the scale goes up, it's totally muscle. It's not fat. Okay, so I did say it was a green smoothie. So I do add some kale to my smoothie. I added this for those of you that want to try the chili or make your own green chili verde sauce. I added sauteed kale with my cauliflower rice last night. You can find my picture of it on Instagram in my story. It was real good, guys. If you wanted to try it. Yes, I have 2 refrigerators. I do. I'm just doing some ice and water. So my dog used to grab the ice, but she stopped doing that now because my husband thought she peed on the furniture even though she brought an ice cube up there, and he went off on her. So I think she's scarred for life now. So they just end up on the floor and then I grab them. So for those of you that are having a heart attack, that ice is on my hardwood floor. It's only for a second, I promise. But So yeah, so as I've been, doing just a touch of research, there's actually not a lot out there for women in manufacturing, but I want to understand, how they're handling the change of obviously how they're doing work is changing, and so when you're adding in an additional type of machine or way of doing things, the old way is going out. And so obviously, even though they've been around for so long, making all of these awesome parts, how are you going to be supporting your employees when technology is changing and it's different than the way they were doing it 20 years ago? So, I think there's some stress that gets added on there. And then, obviously people are worried that, there might be job displacement and that sort of thing too. So, there could be some unsaid stressors there that hopefully are being addressed at the granular level, but maybe I can help them with that. Super easy. Put your earplugs in or put it on mute for a minute. Sorry guys. Keep it on mute. About the Vitamix is that it not only makes my smoothie, but I can do my hazelnut flour in here as well. It's really sweet. So yeah, and you can buy for the Vitamix, you can buy these little lids that actually I'm sorry, not the lids, but that whole cup where you can just make your smoothie in there. So I used to be super crazy and track all of my food, and so I literally would allow I had a program. I worked with Stronger You, and I had so many carbohydrates I could eat a day, fat and protein. And so when I had a smoothie, I got really upset when I was on a cut and trying to lose a lot of weight to lose all my fat, when I wouldn't get all of the smoothie out of my cup because I had to transfer it from a blender to a cup, whatever. Super complicated, but either way, these are amazing. All right, so I'm going to need, what does it say here? 168 grams of nut flour. So what I'm going to do is, and I don't eat peanuts, that's another thing, because they have mold on them. So when I'm trying to heal my gut, right? So if I want to heal my gut, I need to make sure that I'm playing by the right rules, and doing what I'm supposed to heal it and not make it worse. So I'm just putting some nuts in a blender, 168 grams worth. I'm going to do a little bit more than that just to make sure I get the right amount for my bread. And then I'm just going to use the Vitamix again, and I'm just going to do it on low to make sure that I get what I need. It's going to be hard because it's a little wet, but it's all right. So it's getting just a little clogged in here, so I'm just going to use my finger, swirl it around, and get the flour out. It's essentially like a meal, like a hazelnut meal that I make. And you can buy hazelnut meal, I'm just out of it right now. Makes it a little bit easier. This way too. Oh, it's getting all like nut butter like in here because it's a little wet. I don't know that I've ever had like hazelnut butter. Really good. Hazelnuts are really yummy, and they're actually lower in fat than other nuts. It's kind of interesting. Fun fact. I just don't have a sensitivity to them from what I understand, so I eat them. Alright, what's next? Okay. Alright, so let's see. I gotta line the parchment paper in the loaf pan. I know that. Alright, so I'm mixing my flours. Got my hazelnut flour, flaxseed meal. I have that. So 83 grams of flaxseed meal. It is kind of nice when these are so clear. Like, this is exactly how much I need to use. It does make it a lot easier if you want to actually follow a recipe. That's not flax meal. Super easy. This stuff is really good for you. So what I was really nervous about when I started making this recipe is that there's flax meal and there's psyllium husk in it, which really makes you poop. So that's why it does help with your digestion, which is really nice. And I've had like digestion issues for my entire life. So anything that's going to help me have better digestion, I'm pretty much okay with. So, all right. So then we're gonna put in 18 grams of psyllium husk. There we go. What am I gonna do? I think I need to. Do I need to set the? Yeah, this will have to sit out for at least an hour, so I'll bake it later, but you guys will get a photo when it's done later tonight. And then I'm going to add some protein isolate. And I'm actually going to use, I don't have any, so I'm going to use some egg white protein, which is what I used last time, and it came out just fine, so we're going to do that. 15 grams of this. How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful day, not nearly as warm as it was yesterday. Oh, and so that's the other thing. It does call for xanthan gum, but I don't have that, so I just use my flax meal. So it calls for 4 teaspoons. So guesstimate. My opinion, you can't have too much of that. Alright, and then we're going to do baking powder, kosher salt, cream of tartar, I have to find my other teaspoons, I swear. I don't know what they did with them. But I'm like ridiculously using a 1/4 teaspoon for everything because it's all good. I mean, that's what I need for most of these things, but so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sure that's about right. And then kosher salt, which we know we have in here. Just guessing that's about a teaspoon. 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, which I actually have a 1/4 teaspoon right here. So that works out. And then a quarter teaspoon of ground ginger, which I have as well. I love when you add like ginger or cinnamon or nutmeg. It just gives it such a nice little something. Oh yeah, today, I don't know if I announced this earlier, but it's Wednesday Wisdom Day. So that's why we're talking a little bit about women in manufacturing and what I'm working on. Love it. It's just absolutely disgusting the amount of like stress that is in workplaces and how much it costs organizations. You know, and like doing the podcast, like I obviously realize that there's a huge need for support for those that experience a great amount of stress. And so any way that any group of people can be supported is, I just think, absolutely incredible. Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm going to combine all of that stuff. Right? And then... Okay, so then I have to add like all this stuff to like the yeast that's proofing over there. So I'm gonna add the egg and the egg whites. Looks like my dog wants to go outside. I'm gonna have to go for a walk. That's another really fun way to get into mindfulness. Like there was somebody had reached out about the podcast. I'm not gonna share a story or who or anything like that, but you know they struggle with just being overwhelmed sometimes in life, like a lot of us do, right? But I always try to go for a walk. Like if I'm feeling tired during the day and I know it's just because I'm unmotivated or there's something bigger probably going on, I try to go for a walk. I don't care how cold it is. If that shit's real cold, it wakes me right up. And then I can get back to business. Alright, so add in the egg and the egg whites to my yeast, which smells again like bread. Bread or beer? Maybe both. But I guess that makes sense, right? Okay. And melted butter. So I use this really weird, this like ghee that I bought. I use ghee because it's like it's clarified. So if you have lactose intolerance issues, you can consume it and it's easier on your stomach. My husband doesn't like it, but I do. So that's really all that matters. But it's like melted already. So I'm just gonna use that because it does call for 56 grams of melted butter or ghee. And so I'm gonna use the ghee that I got going here and I'm just gonna mix it up. So it says that it calls for an electric mixer, but it doesn't. I tried to do that last time and it doesn't really work out that well with I don't know if it's the yeast or whatever, so I just try to whisk it with a spoon or a whisk just to get it all mixed up, because maybe somebody out there can email me or make a suggestion on what might be a little bit better, because it's hard with this like frothy stuff to get it mixed well with an electric mixer. So like I said, I just do this. I don't want to kill the yeast though. Apparently that's a thing and we don't want that to happen. So it was really fun. My daughter helped me with this last time. Maybe I'll bring her on next time I do something cooking with her because she's a lot of fun. And so I'm just transferring this into a different bowl because I need to put the flour in. But so yeah, we're getting there. Let me grab a whisk. But yeah, she has a lot of fun cooking with me, but she's just as messy as I am, maybe messier, and it annoys the shit out of me for some reason, even though it shouldn't because she's 7, but it does, and I try not to take the fun out of it by cleaning it up, like cleaning up stuff as we're going, because that's really, really lame. Alright, so we're getting light and frothy in here, and then you're supposed to add the flour in 2 batches. I'm sure it has something to do with like killing the yeast and not wanting to kill the yeast. It's really cool. Like a lot of these grain-free breads like are terrible and like they're super dense or they're just like all fat or you know there's sort of always something, but this stuff comes out pretty tasty. And it's like a really great vehicle for like, you know, anything, for nut butters or avocado, like I put it on in the morning. So that's pretty great. Alright, so now essentially I'm just going to transfer it into a baking loaf, and I need to let it sit for an hour or so before I can actually bake it. So it's actually going to sit a little bit longer because I'm going to have a meeting. But I wanted to do this around the same time today. And then, like I said, I'll post pictures later once it's done so that you guys can all see what it looks like. But I mean, I can show you, I freeze it so it's good frozen for a few weeks, and I don't eat it that fast. So it does end up looking, this batch came out like this. So it's pretty good. I mean, you know, it's not as thick as bread, but I did something, the eggs weren't room temperature last time, and the recipe does say that if you don't do your eggs room temperature, that it won't rise as much. So hopefully today it'll be a little bit higher. But either way, like I said, it's a vehicle for me to get some really good fats in, and this is really great for your digestion. So highly recommend it. So that's it. That's it for today. Thank you for joining me for Wednesday Wisdom and listening to me ramble on about stress in the workplace and women in manufacturing and just the impacts that I hope to make in life. So I hope that you took a few minutes, you got something from this conversation today, and I hope to see or talk to you soon. Bye guys, have a great day.